Hey, Dr. Warren, man, I know it's windy. Hopefully we can hear you. We're going to do this little... See, I can't get you on the show, man. It's been like over a year and a half, man. You're a busy man.
Yeah, you know how that goes. A little here, a little there.
Talk loud so we can hear you now.
I said a little loud, a little there, a little there. Everything is, going along.
The economy is never going to return to where it was before the Great Collapse, right?
No, I mean, it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I have a friend that was talking to a Polish salesman. He has a lot full of used cars. And a friend of mine asked him how was business. He said real shitty. And everybody else that he was talking about was saying how bad business is for the small man. So there is no recovery for the small man. The Main Street for Wall Street, oh yeah, it's great because they're doing trade with commodities, gold, silver, what you call it. They're doing them with trading commodities.
So the big guys are making money.
The big guys always make money.
And little man is always going to take the brunt of it.
He's going to take the brunt of it.
So no matter if Barack Obama is president, some Republican, they're going to take away our Social Security as we knew it.
Oh yeah, that's coming. I mean, one way or the other, whether they do it by actual cutting it, or they just print more money and make the Social Security, the dollars that you get from Social Security, worthless. So let people understand, you can get $2,000 for Social Security, and if gas is $10 or $15 a gallon, what does it matter?
What about our Medicaid and Medicare? Now, I'm in my late 40s, so the Medicaid and Medicare, as we know, is going to be gone.
Medicare and Medicare is gone, and the problem it's going to have with the new Obama bill, when that's fully effective, 40,000 doctors are going to resign because all diagnosis and stuff has to pass through Washington.
So the new, what the Republicans call it Obamacare, which is really healthcare reform.
Yeah.
Somebody's always going to get hurt, and the little doctor's going to get hurt.
Oh, definitely.
So we're going to have a lot of nurse practitioners. We're not going to be seeing doctors. We'll be seeing nurse practitioners and RNs, right?
That's basically how they're going to do everything to do to cut this thing. And people don't have knowledge of some basic things of herbs, certain things that they can take, supplements for basic problems. They're in trouble.
So do you believe in integrated medicine? The term, as we know it, integrated medicine.
Well, I'll say this about medicine. The problem is that as long as the pharmaceutical controls the medicine, you're not going to have any greatly reduced in cost. Because if you was to bring in herbs and other alternatives, you could probably cut the stuff in half. But the pharmaceuticals have a monopoly, just like the Federal Reserve has a monopoly on money and credit. They're just not going to do it because the amount of money that they're talking about, billions and billions of dollars.
So the big pharmaceutical companies are the problem in the healthcare system.
Oh yeah, they're the ones that determine the problem, help write that bill.
Big pharma.
Yeah, big pharma.
Wow.
Okay.
So Dr. Warren, I know it's windy now. This is the Windy City. Dr. Warren, what do we do? How do we continue to prepare ourselves as this country continues to decline? The United States of America.
Well, the first thing people can do is try to get out of some type of debt. If possible, or if that's not possible, then they declare some type of bankruptcy or do something. Basically, if they got any savings, it would be best for them to try to move to some type of commodity, mainly silver, would probably be the best thing that most people can afford. As a result, silver went up to $50 and came back down to roughly $35. Gold comes up. I mean, it may go lower. It probably will go lower, silver. The problem is people are going to have to move their assets into that so they can save their purchasing power of their savings. And if not, I mean, there just is no hope for holding paper money. I mean, we have a whole problem with the debt that we have in this country. Is humongous and it cannot be paid. I say again, it cannot be paid. So they're going to either have to keep printing money, which what printing money does, it reduces the value of the purchasing power of money already in circulation. So no matter what you do, what type of raise you can never keep up with the inflation. The true inflation in this country is running about 10%.
You know how much toilet paper costs? Toilet paper, they raised the price and they shrunk the rolls.
That's exactly right.
I mean, I'm having trouble here. You know what I'm saying? I used to do a good. No, I ain't gonna say that, but it's too gross. But you know what I'm saying? You don't get as much toilet paper for the amount of money you used to spend.
That's the problem what people have. What's happening is that the price of commodities, that's the actual, wood, oil, you name it, as the dollar is declining in value, it's declining in value, well, the prices of the commodity goes up. Now, I'll give you an example. In 2008, oil hit $147, $150, and the price of gasoline was $4.11 nationally. That's 2008. Now here we are now at roughly $100 on oil, and we're paying almost $5, $4 average. Well, the problem is, if we had $100 and we paying almost $4 to $5 in certain places. Here in Chicago, you're paying almost $4.50, $4.40,
$4.60, almost $4.70, yeah.
If you got premium, the point is, he said, what's happening? Well, since 2008, the dollar has lost about 30% of its value. Between 20 and 30% of its value. So since it's lost that much value, the dollar, the commodities are going up. That means the hedge funds, smart money, multi-people like Jim Rogers, multi-billionaires, they'll put money into commodities, so those prices go up. So as a result, that's the raw materials that you use, sugar, cotton, everything, all those commodities are going up. That's a result, when you go to the store to buy any type of finished product, you sit there, wow, I went to get a 25-pound of carrots for juicing, and it was $18 about 2 months ago. It jumped from 18 to 22. The guy said it's fuel costs, it's inflation. I had no problem with it. I just, people don't understand that you're going to have an explosion in food prices in this country. And if the dollar was to lose just 50% of its value, food prices would double, and you would have riots just like you're having in Europe over in the EU, as people begin to understand what austerity is, as they begin to cut most of the social programs.
And ironically, they want, most Americans like me want some of those European-style social programs, but ain't no money.
That's right.
In the global economy, all the money's gone to the super rich.
That's right. All the money's gone. Everything now is being traded in commodities. In other words, you have most money now is being made in commodities. It's not made in manufacturing. So, for instance, what I'm saying, if you had to put $10 million in silver, say in January, June of 2010, just back in this past summer, and then sold out this couple of weeks ago in the first part of May, you'd have made over $30 million. You'll triple your money. So you can see then in 8 months, you can see then that people are playing the commodities, and manufacturing is not done in this country. Wall Street is the thing. And listen, Obama is trying to raise $1 billion for the presidential election. Now, if he raised $1 billion, where is that money coming from?
From the rich.
It's coming
from the super rich.
And that's coming from the super
rich.
Because
I'm going to vote for him, but I sure ain't going to give him no money.
Well, the problem is that he is owned and bought by Wall Street. So, right. I mean, none of the policies that he's had is going to help Main Street, the people with their foreclosures and stuff, they're catching hell.
So it doesn't matter if Mitt Romney or Pawlenty or anybody else becomes the Republican candidate or Republican president, it'd be more the same. No matter Democrat or Republican, it'd be more the same, right?
It's more the same. Well, reason now, listen, why all of a sudden did Bin Laden get assassinated at this particular time when the polls of Obama are at an all-time low? And now we have this fear factor, this terrorist factor coming in. They're talking about using the TSA for Amtrak and etc. So wait a minute, this is nothing but Bush policies being replayed over again. This terror ceremony coming back to whip up this patriotic fever, which most Americans don't have a clue that the issue is their pocketbook and their job. The only part, the biggest part of their wealth was their home. And about 30 to 40% of the people are living upside down. They're totally wiped out as a result of their houses upside down.
And what level their house is worthless? Because the value's gone down, and two, who's gonna buy it?
That's the whole point. Nobody's gonna buy it. Here in Chicago, they said 45%, almost half the houses in Chicago are upside down. So then what do you got? You got people, they have no money. Nobody's got any money. They have nowhere to borrow no money, and the job is not paying anything.
Right.
And the credit cards now are limiting what you purchase as far as credit limits. So they're stuck. The economy can't go anywhere. And on top of that, taxes are being raised. Unreal.
So do you think the Republicans can save us? The Republicans?
Listen, Ken, this thing is beyond saving by any party, Democratic, Republican, Socialist. It don't make no difference what it is. It's over with. And what you're looking for is some form of devaluation of the dollar. What do you mean? $5 old dollars for $1 new dollar. If they could do that, they can reduce like for instance, if they gave you one new dollar for 5 new ones, one new one for 5 old ones, that means that they can reduce the deficit goes from 15 trillion down to 3 trillion.
Well, maybe the Chinese government would give us a day of jubilee and forgive our debt.
Well, that may be the case. I doubt it very seriously.
Jubilee, right?
They need it. That's what you need. You need some form of jubilee. But I think the Chinese want some form of guarantee that the purchasing power of those dollars that they hold will hold their value.
But we let the Chinese loan us money to keep the Chinese government tied in this global system, right?
That's the whole point. Everybody's tied in this global system.
That's what I'm trying to get at. People understand this is a global. This ain't about the red, white, and blue.
No. It's a global system.
Global system.
And see, it's all controlled by the bankers. The Anglo-Saxon, Anglo and the Americans control vast portions of this. Like, for instance, you have the situation with Libya. Libya has one of the best oils in the world, and they were the few central banks that was not tied into London. In other words, they got about 100 tons of gold or 200 tons of gold that they kept in their own country. It was not kept in New York or London. So you can see then why we initiated this war against them.
So you think Gaddafi will eventually be toppled or be some kind of daytime? What do you think?
He'll probably meet the same fate as Saddam. It probably will take much longer than they thought. But eventually, it'll either work out a deal.
Who knows? By the time this show airs in public access here in Chicago, they may drop up some more bombs on him. He be gone. So Gaddafi didn't want to continue to play the game, evidently.
That's the whole point. It's a financial game.
He said that's why he tried to get a United States of Africa. That didn't work.
No, because that's basically the idea. You got to realize that the mafia or the Illuminati bankers, they control the whole system.
The Illuminati.
Right, it's a system of wealthy bankers and families that literally control the situation.
But the kids, I talk to teenagers and they talk about the Illuminati. They say people like Jay-Z are part of the Illuminati. They don't really understand Illuminati, do they? The teenagers do. The teenagers.
They don't have a clue.
They think it's some cult.
Listen, you're dealing with very wealthy families and powers that control both the financial and oil of this country. So they set policies that transcend nations. So the president Obama doesn't have any power. It's what is being determined by Wall Street. And in fact, when he got elected, why were most of his cabinet financial advisors from Wall Street? So that you know that he didn't have any power. Any policies that he had was going to be determined for the advantage of Wall Street.
The people with the money got the power.
That's always been the case.
That's the Illuminati, the international bankers, the IMF. It goes on and on, right?
It goes on and on. All this is one big octopus that has its tentacles in various fields of industry and industry that have. Whether we talk about banking, whether we talk about oil, those things that they do, mining. These are the people that control the minerals and resources of the world, and determine policies on who or what is to reign in these various countries, especially the third world, since they have most of the resources that the first world needs. This is the problem. What most people don't understand is that China had 30,000 workers in Libya building various engineering projects and contracts that they had. So the West was totally locked out of that, and as a result, they said, wait a minute, we're not going to allow China to overcome or outbid England and the U.S. there. So anywhere that China builds, gets a foothold in terms of these resources, they'll eventually be overthrown. So you're going to see a lot of friction between, say, Russia and Russia with China and the West over these resources.